So we're still here at the Tom of Finland house with Mark Renzel Bellinger, actually down in Tom's dungeon. It's such a wonderful. And what you do here?
Discovered the house.
So we're still here at the Tom of Finland house with Mark Renzel Bellinger, actually down in Tom's dungeon. It's such a wonderful opportunity to be in a space like this that gives us the opportunity to just, be part of history. So Mark, why don't you tell us a little bit about what brought you to this house and what you do here?
Sure, I first came here for a Christmas party in 2009. Discovered the house and all of these Leathermen and was absolutely amazed. I approached Dirk and went, hi, I'm Mark. I happen to be a curator and have an artistic background, and began volunteering. A few years later, I happened to win the title of Mr. Long Beach Leather, and the foundation approached me about being one of my sponsors to go to IML. Shortly after that, I guess that was a couple of years ago, back in December, I had the opportunity of actually moving in here, and rather than doing a 30-mile-a-day commute, I'm like, okay, sounds good. I am responsible for the artwork in the house, Tom's work, as well as the other artists in the collection. We're kind of the largest homoerotic archive in the world, next to the Vatican. They've been doing it a little bit longer than we have.
So you have more than just Tom here?
Yes. We have probably close to 10,000 other artists in the collection. The foundation was actually set up in the beginning of the AIDS crisis, and guys' works were being thrown away. The families were ashamed of them. Museums wouldn't take them. There weren't galleries dealing in this type of work at that point in time. So Dirk and Tom kind of decided that it needed a safe place, a safe haven, and thus began the Tom of Finland Foundation.
So one of the common themes that I've heard today is exploration and explore.
Mm-hmm.
What has your journey as a Leatherman meant to you in exploration on who you are as a Leatherman, Kinkster?
Well, I have probably a kind of a unique situation. I've always been into leather. I was into leather in the first grade. My mother had custom leathers made for me, and I went to school in them. I've always explored. At a young age, I was doing strange things with belts and football gear and various other ephemera that I could find. I've never been ashamed of who I am or what I am. I revel in my sexuality. It's a wonderful, wonderful gift to us.
What has it been like to see in probably the last 5 years, to see the explosion of sexuality of identities come through the leather community, ranging from puppies to furries to every little possible thing we can think of that the leather umbrella is covering now.
Yeah, it's an absolutely huge community, and you know what? I'll admit I'm an older guy. I don't quite get the puppy thing a lot of times. I mean, I love my dog, but I don't want to love my dog. But I think it's really interesting in watching these guys play. It's a completely different headspace. They completely disappear into the character, and I think that's wonderful.
As a Leatherman who, coming out, was from World War II when a lot of people were coming home and finding identity, and the military, coming especially home from the military, we just had, the Pentagon, the Secretary of Defense say that they're lifting the transgender ban. We're having the military being out and proud. We're seeing an emergence of people from all different walks of life that is kind of being more mainstream. What do you feel like that has Tom of Finland House and the leather community?
Well, I think that the whole mainstream thing is absolutely wonderful. But part of what drew me to the leather community was the fact that it was hidden. I think that we may lose, I fear that we may lose some of the mystery and magic. I like the dark spaces. Leather bars certainly are not what they were 20 years ago. You can't go and have sex in the bars. It's a very, very different environment.
Possible, sure.
Yeah, and I would love to be able to show the younger generation that, and it's simply not possible. You don't cruise anymore. You sit here on your phone and go, this guy's 20 feet away, sup? And there's no interaction. There's almost no mentorship, and that's very, very something that should not be lost. And I think that is probably one of our primary missions that we do work on, is preserving the leather family.
If you could give some advice to any up-and-coming newcomer or newbie in the community, or somebody who's looking for their place, what type of advice would you give them, in order to preserve this concept of culture and, lifestyle and just the magic and camaraderie that we have?
Advice. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of what you are, or who you are. Don't hide it. I promise you, there is someone else out there that shares your kinks and your loves and your passions. And I hate to say this, but if you're living in a smaller community, leave. Go to New York, go to LA, go to San Francisco. That's where we live. These are the places that foster our lifestyles. I will go home to Kentucky every once in a while, and I have friends that still live there, gay friends that still live there. And even in this day and age, they've had crosses burned on their yards, and it makes me want to cry, because I can walk down the street holding my lover's hand and not even get a second look.
And for those who don't know you, even though it pretty much seems like almost the whole community internationally knows you, what do you flag? Just to put it out there, you are a leather kink man, so I know that's a question everybody wants to know.
What do I flag? I would look like the Partridge Family bus if I carried flags, if I carried hankies. My big kinks are the skin itself. I love bondage. I love cigars. I love a good fuck. I guess I'm kind of mellowing as I age. I'm kind of finding my comfortable little chair. um, Flogging. I have said I will try anything once, 30 or 40 times if I like it.
I appreciate the time that you've given us. I appreciate, Dirk allowing us to use this sacred space down here. It's such an empowering, take a look at, I wish it could be open, but actually at the same time, I'm really glad it's not, and it's limited to who sees this, because I'm not going to show you everything in here, but the history, the life, the enchantment, the love and passion is all wrapped into this dungeon, into this house, that you have to experience, at least the house itself. This as a sacred space, is something that everyone needs to have within their own life. Their empowering circle, their circle of friends, their circle of community, their leather heart and honored, about being able to give of yourself in order to embrace the people that need it the most. I'm grateful to be part of the leather community. I'm grateful to know people like Mark. It's been a wonderful journey for them, and I agree with you. Somebody who's been who's really been in the community for 5 years, I'm just grateful to see that we do have spaces and we do have people preserving the culture and people that have the passion about it. And it's not about old guard, new guard. It's not about, anything like that. It's about preserving legacy and honoring those who have come before us.
Now I'm going to be joined by Douglas O'Keefe, the author of Gunfire and Silence, Surviving India's 9/11. It is a tale, a unique human experience piece, chronicling the events that unfolded while he was on a trip to Amsterdam on a layover in Mumbai, India in 2008 when the Trident Oberoi Hotel was bombed. This book is a truly, truly unique and personal, deeply personal story of the human experience that happens during a terrorist attack. Do you recall your first steps back on a plane after you returned to work? Because obviously you have returned back to work.
Yes.
But do you recall, the sensations, the feels? Did you come back and did you just fall into step? Was there hesitation?
When I went back to work, I went back on a domestic sequence by choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not want to have the responsibility of being the purser on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose to work in the back of the plane, in the back galley, so that I could take it a little more slowly and ease myself back in, because I didn't know how I would react.
You continue to travel. What has changed in your layover habits, in your packing habits, since that attack in Mumbai? What has changed in your habits?
I always have my wallet, my passport, my crew ID. All of it is always in one spot, so that I could quickly grab it and run with it if I have to. In about 2010-ish, I'm not sure, I actually, in the middle of the night, had to evacuate a hotel in Atlanta when the fire alarms all went off in the middle of the night.
Oh my gosh.
And I woke up screaming and had to force myself to, stop, get your head.
Yeah.
And I grabbed I had all of it in my uniform pants. I grabbed the whole thing and I just left. And I mean, if there's an emergency situation now, I don't dilly-dally, I just go.
What do you feel is your biggest or brightest achievement?
I would say my writing and my charitable work.
Okay.
I love being able to do something for my community. I feel that's a very important piece of who we are as human beings, is to be part of our world and part of our community and not sit at home in front of a television screen. Oh, there goes the thunder. I think we owe ourselves as human beings that interaction.
And one more question before we go to break. What book should everybody read?
Wow. I love in fact, my favorite book ever is called A Town Like Alice by Neville Shute, who was a very prolific writer in the first half of the 20th century and was a master storyteller. That particular novel is about the human potential and the human endurance and the human ability, and how you never can judge anybody because you don't know what is going on behind the scenes there with that person. Wow. It's very easy to judge people, but we have to force ourselves, at least I have to force myself at times, not to do it. Because you don't know everything about someone.
You never know. You never know what's going on in their chess game. There's always something. So we're going to go to break, but really quick, we're here tonight talking about Gunfire and Silence, Surviving India's 9/11 with Douglas O'Keefe. We're going to be right back. What do you... joined by Douglas O'Keefe, the author of Gunfire and Silence, Surviving India's 9/11. Again, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Just before the break, we were talking about being active in our communities in various ways and charity, and I did want to speak to you just for a little bit about activism.
Yes.
Do you think that people in our community are politically active enough in government, in their local government decisions? Do you think they're politically active enough?
I do not. I think more gay and lesbian people and people in any kink capacity, be it gay, straight, or indifferent, I think need to be more visible, and I think need to be a little more politically active in the voting process, and need to be able to stand up and say, and be counted, and say, you know, that we are a valuable asset to the world as well. I see too many young people, and particularly too many people in the community, simply brush it all off, and I think that's wrong, considering a lot of the political climate currently in the United States.
Well, that answers my next question, which was, when you hear a 20 or 30-something-year-old say, it doesn't matter, and my vote's not going to count, what goes through your mind, and what do you want to say to them?
I pity you. I really do. Pick up a book. Learn to read. Learn what you're worth as a person and who you are in this society. You have to participate in the world around you. What we have today didn't come freely. It was earned. It was people fought for what we have. And it can all too easily, and is often too easily, taken away. People are still eroding numerous rights that we have, and I think given enough momentum, they could do it.
So this last weekend, San Diego, California played host to the 2015 West Coast Olympus Leather Contest. The contest featured contestants from all over the state of California and Hawaii. Ming Destiny of Hawaii, also the appointed 2014 Miss West Coast Olympus Leather, competed successfully to retain her title. Southern California Leather Boy 2014, Matthew Mullins dominated an all-puppy-filled class. The other contestants included Boy Kevin of San Diego, California, and Tim Perkins of San Jose. Each contestant brought individuality and clear love and admiration for all leather folk. The indomitable spirit of Olympus Leather was prevalent throughout the weekend's events.
Win. And you did.
My mama for 2 years.
You're stuck with me again. Okay. First runner-up. Boy Kevin. Mr. West Coast Olympus Leather 2015 is Matthew Mullins.
Tonight, I revisited my interview with Douglas O'Keefe for a few reasons. Mainly, I owed Mr. O'Keefe for his kindness and the time he took with me to interview. I also want you to go out and read his book and expand your world and the understanding of the political climate we're in. The interview also touched more on that same important subject: political activism and political participation by LGBT and kink folk in our community. I don't think in my 22 years as a voter, possibly in my entire lifetime, has there been a political climate like there is now, right now, today. Over the past several years, politicians have waged war against one another, Democrats trying to maximize access to the ballot box, and Republicans trying to limit that access. Take a moment and think about the fact that a major political party is devoting time, energy, and financial resources to discourage and disallow eligible voters from participating in the political process. The GOP openly thumbed its nose in what was the first non-public, no-cost GOP debate last month. If you didn't have cable, you did not watch. Again, limiting the information about its candidates. Like it or not, one of those 17 individuals is going to be the GOP nominee for 2016. Don't we owe it to ourselves to be educated about what's happening? Just yesterday, Donald Trump had a Hispanic reporter removed from a press conference. CNN reports today that 4 of the 17 GOP candidates have signed a pledge to support federal constitutional amendments to define marriage as a union between one man and one woman. The National Organization for Marriage said that Senator Ted Cruz, Rick Santorum, Bobby Jindal, and Ben Carson signed the group's pledge to take several specific actions as president to restore marriage to the law and protect people of faith from discrimination because of their support for traditional marriage. Several others, including Jeb Bush, Lindsey Graham, and John Cage, have stated their opposition to same-sex marriage, but do not support an amendment to make marriage between one man and one woman. I cannot agree more with my guests' opinions that we as a community have a duty to continue the fight that is at hand. We must be active and ever vigilant in this fight until everyone is free to live as they wish in peace and equality. I encourage you to learn what the primary election rules are in your state and local governments. Some states do not count your vote in the primary if you vote for a candidate from a different political party. And in most states, you must register at least 30 days before an election for your vote to count. If you are not registered to vote, I beg you, do so now, right now. Go. I'll wait. Tonight, I revisited my interview with Douglas O'Keefe for a few reasons. Mainly,